Hello, welcome back to Emily A to Z. My name is Emily. Today's letter is S for September, and I am so sorry that I have been gone for a while. August was really busy for me and my family. The summer has been really busy. We went on vacations, and we were very blessed and privileged to be able to take not one, but 2 vacations this summer. And it was a lot. We were gone a lot. We were traveling. I've been trying to prepare for next year, this school year as a whole, and then like next year's plans. We've got stuff happening with family the rest of the year that is important. So there's just a lot going on, and unfortunately, making videos just really fell behind. I did film like a whole August TBR. It did not get edited. I wanted to have it up and done before we went on our August vacation, and it just didn't happen, and that's fine. We came back from our vacation, we were dealing with illness, and then school has started, and we've only now just been in school for the first couple of weeks, and we've got sports, and there's just a lot happening. So I'm really sorry I disappeared, but I am here with September's TBR, and let's just dive right in. So first and foremost, the book of the month for Magical Stitches for the month of September is How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black, illustrated by Rowena Kai. This is considered book number 3.5 in the Folk of the Air series. You can see from my little tabs, I have already read it. But this is just a collection of short stories that are told from Carden's point of view, with a little bit of his certain things that were happened during the first 3 books, the trilogy, the main trilogy. Some of those things are kind of revisited from his point of view, just as little like vignettes, but there is like an overarching kind of story that is woven throughout in this little narrative. So again, this is the book of the month for September. Now, along with that, we have our challenges, of course. Let's dive right into those. We've got our color cover challenge. This month, it is to read a book that either has a lavender, mint green, or dark gray cover. And, of course, I've got options for you. Let's pull those up. Oh, I believe almost all of the books that I have to show you this time are all new. See, these are all from my local library. They all have, or most of them are going to have a new sticker on the spine. I challenged myself to find all new titles or newer releases just to show you what is available. So, 3 books that are lavender. Sorry if that was really loud. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go over it. I've got The Sky Was Ours by Joe Fassler. This is a brilliant... I did it again, guys. It's a retelling. A brilliant modern reimagining of the myth of Daedalus and Icarus as a story of obsession, longing, and the radical pursuit of utopia. It's the mid-2000s, and 24-year-old Jane is miserable. Overworked, buried in debt, she senses the future she wanted slipping away, while the world around her veers badly off course. She wants to find something better, but has no idea where to start. After abandoning everything in a burst of rebellion, Jane goes on the road and meets Barry, a charismatic recluse living on an isolated homestead near New York's Canadian border. Okay. For years, Barry has chased an unlikely obsession: to build a pair of wings humans can fly in. He's convinced his invention will spark a revolution, delivering us from the degradation of capitalism and the climate chaos that awaits us. Jane is captivated by Barry's extreme vision, even as his experiments become more dangerous. But she's equally drawn to Ike, Barry's gentle, thoughtful son, who knows no other reality and who only wants to keep his father safe. I keep unintentionally pulling retellings. I think I need to do something about this. I also have, this is called Exalted by Anna Dorn. I love this cover. I am not going to lie. I am obsessed with this cover. What is this about? Hello? Emily Forrest runs Exalted, the hottest astrology account on Instagram, from her studio apartment in Los Angeles. Burned out on meme making and listicles, Emily's passion for astrology is waning despite her gift for deciphering the signs until she comes across a birth chart that could potentially change her mind. Bo Rubido's planets are aligned, each paired with its optimum sign. His chart is exalted. She decides that Bo, a well-connected photographer in Echo Park, could potentially be the love of her life and help her fulfill her true destiny to be a star. Sorry if you hear my dogs. Meanwhile, in Riverside, Dawn Webster has been dumped once again. At 48, she is forced to return to the same restaurant where she started waiting tables at 18. With no girlfriend, no career, and her only son gone to Hollywood, the once vivacious Dawn is aimless and alone. Persona non grata at the local gay bar, she guzzles cheap champagne and checks exalted to feel seen. She's a fiery Leo, and one day she will get her due. Alternating between Emily and Dawn's very different points of view, Exalted is a deliciously dark novel that explores desire, the projection of our need for love, and what we're really searching for when we keep scrolling. Interesting. So how are they... I am obsessed with this cover, though. I just think it's super cool, and I do like it a lot. I think it's very pretty, and it's simple in its design. And then finally, in my lavender era, this is called Blizzard. Just checking that it wasn't just Lizard. Blizzard by Marie Vingtras. Translated by Jeffrey Zuckerman. Ooh, cool. A runaway bestseller in France about a boy gone missing in the middle of an Alaskan blizzard and the people desperate to find him. In the middle of a raging storm in Alaska, Bess stops to tie her shoes, and just like that, the boy is lost, gone in a flash, swallowed up by the snow. Bess is a California girl, while Benedict, with whom she and the boy live, is the last in his family's long line of rugged Alaskans. Benedict knows better than to venture out in such weather, but he has no choice. He must find Bess and the boy before it's too late. Blizzard is a race against death and destiny. Benedict, the local, and Bess, the outsider, are joined in the frantic search by Cole, an unsavory figure who washed up decades ago and clings on, downing moonshine. Then there's Freeman, a black Vietnam vet who seems wholly out of place in the North. What brings him to this remote corner of Alaska? What secrets is he hiding? Are they all hiding? And will they find the truth? An award-winning page-turner. Okay, cool. This is a contender. I don't think I've actually picked what I'm reading yet, so this is a contender for sure. I mean, they're all contenders, if I'm being honest. Okay, what's my next color? Mint green. Again, 3 books that are new. I have Off the Air by Christina Estes. This is a mystery. Looks like a cozy mystery. Jolene Garcia is a local TV reporter in Phoenix, Arizona, splitting her time between covering general assignments, anything from a monsoon storm to a newborn giraffe at the zoo, and special projects. Stories that take more time to research and produce. Stories that Jolene wants to tell. When word gets out about a death at a radio station, Jolene and other journalists swarm the scene, intent on reporting the facts first. The body is soon identified as Larry Lemon, a controversial talk show host who died under suspicious circumstances. Jolene conducted his final interview, giving her and her station an advantage, but not for long. As the story heats up, so does the competition. Jolene is determined to solve this murder. It's an investigation that could make or break her career, if it doesn't break her first. This is a debut. This is a debut novel. I have Weird Black Girls, a collection of stories by Elwyn Cotman. I also really like this cover. I find it so intriguing to look at with this weird gnarly tree body shape with the feet and the hands, and then this like ferret with a crown over here. Like, what is happening on this cover? But I really like it. The back here just quotes. What does this say? From this is this person's Elwyn Cotman comes his this is what is happening to me? This is the 4th collection of literary fantastical stories by this author. Piercing the veil between the familiar and the absurd, Cotman invites us into the surreal worlds of weird black girls. A rural town finds itself under the authoritarian sway of a tree that punishes children. 2 old friends navigate their fraught history as strange happenings escalate in a Mexican restaurant. A narcissistic couple wreak havoc on an activist community, and a day of LARPing takes a cosmic turn. In each of the 7 stories, characters embark on obsessive paths to glory and destruction as their worlds twist and warp around them, careening between reality and the impossible. Through his virtuosic interplay of whimsy, horror, and fantasy, Karemann takes as his subject the most universal of themes: friendship, love, betrayal, bitterness, in a collection that is both elegiac, in tone and incisive in execution. Very interesting. Also a contender. And then I have Maud Horton's Glorious Revenge by Lizzie Pook. I don't know what this is about, but it grabbed my attention and it fits color-wise. This says, set between the Arctic and Victorian London, this is the story of a young woman searching for the truth about her sister, who boarded a ship bound for the Northwest Passage and never returned. 20-year-old Constance Horton has run away from her life in Victorian London, disguising herself before boarding the Makepeace, an expedition vessel bound for the Arctic's remote Northwest Passage. She struggles to keep her real identity a secret on the ship, a fear that only grows more difficult when facing off with the constant dangers of the icy north. Even more dangerous than the cold, the storms, and the hunger are some of the men aboard, including the ship's sly and mercenary scientist, Edison Stowe. He is watching Constance, and she knows that his attention could be fatal. In London 2 years later, Maud Horton is searching for the truth. She doesn't buy the British Admiralty's claim that what happened to Constance was nothing more than a tragic accident, especially once she receives a diary revealing that Edison Stowe may have had more of a hand in Constance's death than is being acknowledged. In order to find answers, Maud begins to shadow the ever-entrepreneurial Edison, joining as a guest on his new macabre business venture, a travel company escorting guests around the country to witness popular public hangings. Amid the frenzy of a country gripped by murder mania, Maud must do whatever it takes to get to the truth, even if that means drawing on dangerous skills of her own. Maud Horton's Glorious Revenge is a transporting, enthralling novel about the lengths we will go for justice and for love. Also a contender. And then our last color is dark gray. I only have 2 options. I feel like there are a lot of dark gray books, but I only have 2 right now, and that's totally fine. You're just gonna have 2. We have The Cursed Friend by Beatrice Salvioni, translated from the Italian by Elena Palla. That's cool. Another translated book. Oof, what is this about? The Cursed Friend. For the readers of Adriana Trigiani, something about unbreakable, life-changing friendship will lead 2 young girls from different worlds to rebel against the injustice they face in 1930s Italy. Monza, 1936. On the pebbled bank of the Lambro, 2 girls frantically scramble to bury a body, the dead son of the city's most prominent fascist. Soon they will find their fierce friendship put to the ultimate test. A year earlier, Francesca Strada, the well-mannered daughter of a bourgeois family, dreams of a life beyond provincial conformity. From afar, she spies on Maddalena, the town's rebellious outcast, whom neighbors call the Cursed One, and whose indomitable spirit fascinates her. Then one day, escaping the vigilant eye of her parents, Francesca finds herself caught in her first ever lie while trying to protect Maddalena. Soon the 2 are inseparable. Maddalena teaches Francesca to defy animals, to overcome her fear of blood, and to recognize her body as something alive and present. But as tensions escalate and an atmosphere of suspicion, corruption, and discontent settles over the town, the friends become increasingly aware that as girls, they're not as free as they wish to be. Confronted by a vicious act of violence, Maddalena and Francesca must rely on each other to defend what they have forged together. Set against the backdrop of the Abyssinian War, The Cursed Friend is a timeless tale of female friendship, navigating loss and adolescence, and finding the courage to speak out against the silence of a harsh, uncompromising world. All right. And then I have, last but not least, Circle in the Water by Marcia Muller. This is apparently a Sharon McCone mystery. So this looks like a continuation of a series, if you are familiar with it, but this is about a series of pranks that turn deadly. Ooh. San Francisco is home to more than 200 privately owned streets. Most are alleyways, but a select few look torn straight from the pages of a magazine. Lined with mansions and elaborate gardens, the properties are luxurious and perfectly maintained. Security guards patrol the grounds to keep the curious at bay. Few know of these exclusive enclaves, but those who do prowl for availability, ready to make a grab for the precious real estate if opportunity strikes. When several such streets are targeted in a series of so-called pranks, Sharon is hired by a coalition of concerned owners to investigate. But as things escalate, an attempt on Sharon's life, an explosion at a meth lab, and a shocking murder, Sharon realizes far more is at play than a few misdemeanors gone wrong. Dun, dun, dun. The case takes a sudden turn when one of McCone and Rapinski's most trusted employees is implicated, and Sharon will have to dig deep to save her agency and her life. Okay. My hair is also just awful looking right now because I missed a haircut because Caden was really sick. I will talk about that a different time, but just know, I wish it was different. It will be hopefully soon. Moving on. So of all those, I think I'm going to go with Maude Horton's Glorious Revenge by Lizzie Pook. This has actually been on my radar for a while. I have it written down as something I wanted to read, so here's my chance. Let's do it. Next. Because the book of the month is How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories, and it actually is an illustrated copy, the other challenge, the reading challenge for this month, is to read a book with pictures, drawings, or illustrations. So that can be any number of things. That can be children's books, picture books. Yep, totally fine. Don't care if you want to do that. Have at it. It could be adult, nonfiction books that have pictures in it. That happens a lot. If you really like to read memoirs or biographies, or like I said, historical books that have, or nonfiction books that have the little insert of pages, that's totally fine too. Or it could also mean graphic novels. So I have 2 different graphic novels here to show. Again, new, because I personally think I want to try and read a graphic novel. I have not read a graphic novel all year, I don't think, so I'm going to try. This first one is called Puzzled, and this is a memoir about growing up with OCD. It is by Pan Cook. Yes, Pan, not Pam. Pan with an N. Pan is 10 years old when anxious thoughts begin to take over his brain like pieces of an impossible puzzle. What if he blurts out a swear word while in church? What if he accidentally writes something mean and his classmates get well card? Or if his friend's racy photo of a supermodel ends up in his own homework and gets discovered by his teacher? More and more, he finds himself hijacked by fears that can only be calmed through exhausting rituals. Pan has no way of knowing that this anxiety puzzle and the stressful attempts to solve it are evidence of a condition called obsessive-compulsive disorder. This is Pan's endearing true story of living with OCD, both before and after learning what was keeping the puzzle pieces from fitting together. It's as funny as it is refreshingly candid, encouraging, and open-hearted. So, this is considered a juvenile graphic novel, but I think this is really cool. That's an option. I own a collection of graphic novels upstairs. They are all about Critical Role. I love that online D&D show. It is really fun and nerdy, and I am a big fan, and I have several of their graphic novels, so I should probably read that. But this also really caught my eye. It looks scary, but I'm interested in this. So this is Earth Divers Volume 1, and this one is called Kill Columbus. There already is a second one I've seen, and it's in the Ice Age, but this is by Stephen Graham Jones, as a lot of us know, horror, and also David Gianfelici, and Joanna Lafuente. I'm so sorry, I know I butchered those names. But this is New Worlds Aren't Discovered, They're Built. The year is 2112, and the apocalypse is exactly as expected. Rivers receding, oceans rising, society crumbling. Humanity has given up hope except for a group of indigenous survivors who have discovered a time travel portal and figured out where history took a sharp turn for the worse. America. Convinced that the only way to save the world is to rewrite its past, they send one of their own on a bloody one-way mission back to 1492 to kill Christopher Columbus before he reaches the so-called New World. But taking down an icon is no easy task, and the future will pay a staggering price if history backfires. So this is the first chapter of his ongoing comics debut with the artist David. This collection includes the complete run of Earth Divers Kill Columbus, exclusive concept artwork, and an introduction from Stephen Graham Jones. So I guess this Earth Divers is its own thing. I believe is the ongoing comic, but the Kill Columbus is a whole so if it'd be like American Horror Stories, right, where each season is its own encompassing thing, right? I think that's how this is going to be. Earth Divers as a whole is the series, but each volume or each set is going to be its own complete little universe kind of thing. Because I believe, like I said, I believe the other one I've seen already, Volume 2, is is set almost like caveman Ice Age times versus this is going to be revolving around the 1400s, 1500s. And then last but not least, for Magical Stitches, we have our title word challenge, and this month's word is world, W-O-R-L-D, world. So you need to read a book with the word world in the title, and I do have 3 options. Let me grab them. They're new. Okay, I've got In a Not So Perfect World by Neely Tubati Alexander. I also really like this cover. A lot of covers are using this particular font currently, and I don't really know why, but I like it. I like this font, but I work at a library, if you don't know. Hi, hello, your local library worker. Please go to the library. They're awesome. But a lot of books are using this. I see a lot of books at my job. Anyways, what is this book about? A delightful Caribbean set romp about an ambitious designer of apocalyptic video games with a strategy for almost everything, who discovers what happens when her best laid plans go off course. During Sloane Cooper's interview for her dream job as a designer for a top video game company, she somehow promises the all-male panel that she'll remain single and fully dedicated to the work. It's actually fine. After her last boyfriend cheated on her, she vowed to focus on her career anyway. Enter Charlie, aka Hot Neighbor Guy, a near stranger who shocks her with the offer of an all-inclusive trip to Turks and Caicos. The catch? Charlie originally planned the trip with his ex, and he asks Sloane to pose as his new girlfriend to make his old flame come running back. Against her better judgment, Sloane agrees. She can use the time away to develop a game design that will dazzle her potential employer. But when sparks fly in paradise, Sloane is reminded of her professional goals and that Charlie's trying to win back his true love. Can Sloane figure out a way to land the job of her dreams and avoid catching feelings? The zombie apocalypse would be easier to solve. At least she's prepared for that. Cheesy, but romance if you're interested. This book tower over here is getting precarious. Then we have A Short Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Westerbecky. This cover is also really pretty. I'm really drawn to these like very simplistic covers, I guess, right now. I like it though. What is this? A dazzling epic novel that charts the incredible adventurous life of one woman as she journeys the globe, trying to outrun a mysterious curse that will destroy her if she ever stops moving. Excuse me, what? Paris, 1885. Aubrey Thorvell, a spoiled and stubborn 9-year-old girl, comes across a wooden puzzle ball on her walk home from school. She tosses it over a fence only to find it in her backpack that evening. Days later, at the family dinner table, she starts to bleed to death. When medical treatment only makes her worse, she flees to the outskirts of the city where she realizes that it is this very act of movement that keeps her alive. So begins her lifelong journey around the world, constantly on the run from her disease, which won't allow her to stay anywhere more than a few days. From the scorched dunes of the Kalanshio Sand Sea to the snow-packed peaks of the Himalayas, from a bottomless well in a Parisian courtyard to the shelves of a spectacular underground library, we follow Aubrey as she learns to survive on her own. Remember, she isn't 9 when this starts. Along the way, she will encounter friends, enemies, and lovers, strange beasts, wild landscapes, opulent castles, and grand inventions. But the longer she wanders and the more of her unlikely existence she dares to share with others, the clearer it becomes that the world she travels through is not quite the same as everyone else's. What in the world is this book? Excuse me? I still need a book set in the 1800s for my Decades Challenge. I have not found one that I wanted to read, so maybe this will go in for that. My brain is boggled. But my choice, and the last one I have for you, is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Tartan. I did not know it's the same person who wrote The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I have not read that book, but I have also wanted to. Oh no, this book has been damaged on the inside. Sad. The thing got all bent. The back, like, end page got all... Well, must fix that. Especially because, look, there's, like, beautiful art. But, like, this got all bent. Don't do that. Treat things with kindness. Anyways, The Last Murder at the End of the World. I think this has been made into a TV show. Outside the island, there is nothing. The world was destroyed by a fog that swept the planet, killing anyone it touched. On the island, it is idyllic. 122 villagers and 3 scientists living in peaceful harmony. The villagers are content to fish, farm, and feast, to obey their nightly curfew, to do what they're told by the scientists. Until, to the horror of the islanders, one of their beloved scientists is found brutally stabbed to death. And then they learn that the murder has triggered a lowering of the security system around the island, the only thing that was keeping the fog at bay. If the murder isn't solved within 107 hours, the fog will smother the island and everyone on it. But the security system has also wiped everyone's memories of exactly what happened the night before, which means that someone on the island is a murderer and they don't even know it. Excuse me? I did not know that that's what this was about. I'm pumped. Okay. I'm glad this is my pick. Hello. What is happening? Anyways, that is all for Magical Stitches. Wee, bing, bong. So, moving forward. I have pretty much finished the Goodreads books of 2022, so I'm not even going to cover that right now, and I don't feel like it. The Family Book Club. It is my mother-in-law's pick, and she chose... Sorry. Here are my last 3 books to show you, and they are all book club picks. Starting with the Family Book Club, like I said, my mother-in-law chose this month's book, and she chose The Reading List by Sarah Nisha Adams. If this seems familiar for me, it's because I've already read this. I read this back in 2022. I think I gave it 3 stars, maybe 4 stars when I read it. I don't remember. I think it was 4. It's been 2 years. I do remember it, but I am going to go ahead and reread it because it's been 2 years. But this is about stuff and things and people. So here we go. An unforgettable and heartwarming debut. Oh, it was a debut. I didn't know that. About a chance encounter in a list of library books that forges unexpected connections between readers. A love letter to some of our most cherished novels. Widower Mukesh lives a quiet life in West London where he shops every Wednesday, goes to temple, and worries about his granddaughter Priya, who hides in her room reading while he spends his evenings watching nature documentaries. Alicia is a bright but anxious teenager working at the local library when she discovers a forgotten slip of paper in the back of To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a list of novels she's never heard of before. Intrigued, she impulsively decides to read every book on the list, one after the other. As each story gives up its magic, the books transport Alicia away from the painful realities she's facing at home. When Mukesh arrives at the library, desperate to forge a connection with his bookworm granddaughter, Alicia wonders if the books might be a lifeline for him, too. So begins a new chapter for both of them, as the reading list creates a bond between 2 lonely souls and even circulates throughout their community, its impact widening as readers learn how fiction can teach them so much about joy and sorrow in real life. I will be listening to it. That's how I read it the first time. I will listen to it again. That's fine. Next is the Decades Challenge, and it is to read in something set in the 2000s and to current day. And the choice that they picked is The Firekeeper's Daughter, Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulet. This is a chunky boy. Sorry, I was trying to read what the award is, because I was like, what is that? This says, keep the secret, live the lie, earn your truth. But this is, yes, Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulet. This cover is gorgeous, by the way, utterly beautiful. This is, they don't have a thing. It just says, when tragedy strikes in your own home, when death and deception are around every corner, how far are you willing to go to fix what is broken? And it looks like there is a sequel. Return to the World of Firekeeper's Daughter, Warrior Girl Unearthed. But that's not good enough. We need to know what this book is about. So, bing bong. Let's pull it up on the Google, shall we? Goodreads, don't fail me now. Let me just search Firekeeper's Daughter. Here we go. Dun 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 dun. Stop. As a biracial, unenrolled tribal member and the product of a scandal, Donis Fontaine has never quite fit in, both in her hometown and on the nearby Ojibwe Reservation. I kept wanting to say Ojibwe Observation because of the O's, and that's not what it is. It's reservation. When her family is struck by tragedy, Donis puts her dreams on hold to care for her fragile mother. The only bright spot is meeting Jamie, the charming new recruit on her brother's hockey team. After Donis witnesses a shocking murder that thrusts her into a criminal investigation, she agrees to go undercover. But the deceptions and deaths keep piling up, and soon the threat strikes too close to home. How far will she go to protect her community if it means tearing apart the only world she's ever known? So, yes, that sounds very interesting. I did want to read it. I think this is a YA novel, which totally cool. Big chunky boy. I'm going to try and find the audiobook because this is a lot and the print is tiny. So, audiobook? Am I supposed to be reading outside of my comfort zone this month? Probably, which would mean another romance or another graphic novel. And I think I'll just double up on graphic novels. So, that's fine. And then last but not least is the Read with Pride book club pick. And this month, the book is She is a Haunting by Trang Tan Tran, I think. This is a YA novel, and it is like a YA horror. Like, look at that cover. You can't tell me that's not horror. Plus the title, She is a Haunting. This has also been on my radar for a while. I have wanted to read this. So here we go. This house eats and is eaten. When Jade, how do you say this? Ngoyen? I should have looked this up. I'm so sorry. I'm better than this. And everyone deserves to have their name pronounced correctly. I am ashamed of myself. When Jade arrives in Vietnam to visit her estranged father, she has one goal: survive 5 weeks pretending to be a happy family in the French colonial house Ba is restoring. She's always lied to fit in. So if she's straight enough, Vietnamese enough, American enough, she can get out with the college money he promised. But the house has other plans. Night after night, Jade wakes up paralyzed. The walls exude a thrumming sound while bugs leave their legs and feelers in places they don't belong. She finds curious traces of her ancestors in the gardens they once tended. And at night, Jade can't ignore the ghost of the beautiful bride who leaves cryptic warnings: don't eat. Neither Ba nor her sweet sister Lily believe anything strange is happening. With help from a delinquent girl, Jade tries to expose the house's rotten appetite. A home, after all, is only as powerful as those who breathe new life into its bones. And this one is determined never to be abandoned again. Dun dun dun. I like that they're both flowers. Like, she's Jade and her sister's Lily. Yeah, very exciting. So, lots of books. I am pumped. But that's all I have for you. And look at that. This is less than 45 minutes. Go me. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up here. I am busy. I need to wrap it up anyways because I have to go get Caden soon. And we have soccer today. So, yay. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to be back. Really soon and a lot more often, especially because I have been stitching and I have like a cross stitch video I need to make, which is exciting. So thank you for being here. I've already said that. I will talk to you all very, very soon. In the meantime, be easy with your hearts. Happy stitching, happy reading, happy watching, happy listening, happy doing whatever it is that makes you happy doing. I didn't forget. Bye.